Selamat siang pemirsa, bagaimana kabar Anda? Kita jumpa lagi dalam Green Lifestyle bersama saya Prima Genuita. Perubahan iklim sudah menjadi tantangan semua umat manusia dan menjadi tanggung jawab bersama untuk bertindak dan melakukan aksi dalam menanggulanginya, tidak terkecuali umat Islam. Sekitar 150 orang ahli lingkungan, ilmuwan, dan ulama dari 30 negara berpenduduk Muslim hadir dalam konferensi Muslim Action for Climate Change atau aksi umat Islam untuk menghadapi tantangan perubahan iklim pada tanggal 9 hingga 10 April lalu di Bogor. Konferensi ini merupakan agenda lanjutan dari deklarasi Muslim 7-Year Action Plan for Climate Change atau rencana 7 tahun aksi Muslim untuk perubahan iklim yang dideklarasikan di Istanbul, Turki pada Juni 2009. Di siang hari ini Green Lifestyle akan membahas mengenai Islam dan tantangan perubahan iklim bersama Founder Director of the Islamic Foundation for Ecology and Environmental Sciences Haj Fazlun Khalid dan juga panitia penyelenggara MACC yang juga anggota The Climate Project Indonesia dan Conservation International Fahrudin Mangunjaya. Selamat siang Pak Fahrudin. Assalamualaikum Haj Fazlun. Assalamualaikum Fahrudin. I'll start with you Haj Fazlun. How do you see the connection between Islam and the environment?
I would answer that question by simply saying Islam is inherently environmental.
Why?
Because all the teachings of Islam point to the fact that we are part of the general creation. We are not separate from it. In that sense, we are not separate from the trees and the mountains and the frogs and the fishes and the lions and the tigers. We are just one aspect of creation. And the Quran reminds us that everything in creation is bigger than us. So we are a minor aspect of creation. And we also have the responsibility of Khalifa, which is stewardship, have a responsibility to look after the environment. We are in a sense guardians of the environment. And that teaching is very clear. Which is why one can say without hesitation that Islam is inherently environmental, and therefore we have a responsibility to look at the issues and deal with them not merely by doing the prayers and fasting and doing the thing that we are normally supposed to do, which we do anyway, but looking further into the teachings and act responsibly wherever you are and act positively.
How do we apply the Islamic teachings into protecting the environment? How do we do it in daily routines?
Well, there are two answers to that. One is you can begin to do it immediately by looking at the way you consume water. Islam is a very water-intensive religion, but we have to wash 5 times a day, and we have to do ghusl and clean ourselves and all that kind of stuff. So we can reduce consumption of water. And very simple ways, instead of having the tap full on when you wash, you know, keep it half full on or quarter full on. That's a very daily practical step, because the water issue is going to be one of the big global issues of our times. Another way of doing this is watch out for your consumption, because we are a consumer society. You know, there is a very clear verse in the Quran which says that Allah does not love the wasters. You see, so you have to respond to that. So it is very simple in that sense. So the daily practical things. If you take in this concept wider, it can be applied to the whole aspect of conservation, as it were, how the mainstream communities understand it. And I've been doing some training for the ulama in Padang quite recently, and it is how you conserve your habitat, how you protect the trees, and how you conserve your water courses and all this kind of stuff. And it's a very comprehensive doctrine, a very comprehensive teaching, which needs to now surface.
Yeah, we see that how well connected Islam and environment protection is, but how do you see the Islamic countries or Muslim communities in the world in protecting the environment? Do they apply these Islamic teachings?
No, those teachings are lost. In a sense, I mean, that question is a very interesting one. It could be applied to the Christians, to the Buddhists, to the Hindus, to any religion. You can ask that exactly that same question.
To all.
Yeah, and I think the answer would be the same. In that we have lost it, and we have been subsumed, we have been overtaken by a development paradigm, which is a secular model, a globalized development model, and where we see the earth as an exploitable resource, not a resource that could be protected, you see, and we are all guilty of that. So this is the reason now where the whole aspect of what they call now a specialism called eco-theology, and the religions coming on board. I attended Leaders Forum, the United Nations, just before the Copenhagen Forum, where many leaders were there. You know, the Pope is beginning to enunciate edicts on the environment. The Dalai Lama is on board, and so on. So we are trying to do our best from the specifics of Islam to contribute to that movement.
Yeah.
And we have something very specific, very special, and it is recognized that we have something quite profound to offer to this movement, and we are open to it.
Ya, Pak Farudin, apakah hal yang sama juga Anda lihat terjadi di Indonesia, gitu, seperti yang disampaikan oleh Haj Fazlun tadi?
Ya, inilah yang sebenarnya seperti Pak Fazlun katakan, bahwa kita lupa dengan ajaran Islam yang kita katakan ramah lingkungan, tetapi dalam praktiknya kita jauh dari itu. Hal sebab itu kita ingin mengingatkan kembali dan merecall bahwa sebenarnya ajaran positif Islam itu banyak sekali yang terkait dengan lingkungan. Dan baru saja kami mengadakan training di Padang bersama ulama dan pemuka-pemuka negari. Kami melakukan aksi yang terkait dengan bagaimana mereka bisa melindungi hutan, kemudian melindungi air dan jasa-jasa ekosistem dengan sistem adat. Dan yang di Padang itu kan mereka punya jargon bahwa adat basandi syara basandi kitabullah. Nah itu sebenarnya sudah ada di sana, dan kita ingin memperkuat itu, kita isi itu dengan spirit yang kita punyai dalam praktek-praktek yang praktis. Mudah-mudahan di tingkat lokal jalan, bukan hanya di tingkat nasional dan internasional.
Sejauh ini bagaimana penerimaan dari masyarakat ketika Anda menyampaikan ide-ide tadi?
Praktis mereka memang selama ini memang membaca Al-Quran, membaca secara letterlet Al-Quran, tetapi mereka belum menyadari bahwa Al-Quran mengatakan yang demikian, seperti dikatakan oleh Pak Jun Halid, berkaitan dengan bagaimana kita berbicara bahwa di Al-Quran itu berbicara mengenai ciptaan. Jadi kita disuruh ikro bismi rabbikal ladzi khalaq. Kita disuruh membaca, tetapi al-khalaq ciptaannya kita lupakan.
Baik.
Jadi sekarang kita menjaga ciptaan itu, karena kita diamanahkan sebagai khalifah itu untuk menjaga ciptaannya. Ya.
Baik, Pak Farudin dan Haj Khalid, kita akan kembali di segmen kedua. Nanti kita akan lanjutkan mengenai bagaimana sebenarnya peran umat Islam untuk membantu mengurangi dampak dari pemanasan global ini. Dan pemirsa, Green Lifestyle akan segera kembali sesaat lagi. Tetaplah bersama Metro TV. Terima kasih Anda masih menyaksikan Green Lifestyle dengan tema Islam dan tantangan perubahan iklim. Haj Fazlun, earlier you said that the Muslim has lost it, and then what is exactly happened? I mean, why is it being lost, and what can we do to apply these Islamic teachings into protecting the environment?
I think it's a very interesting question. The simple answer to that is you've got to look at the advertisements that is interspersed between these the talk shows. Look at the advertisements. I mean, what do they say? It talks about a different lifestyle. It says, I can give you a great lifestyle if you buy me, if you buy this car, or have this building, have this condominium, or buy this or buy that, or have nice. You see, we all want it. Muslims are not exclusive to that. You see, I'm just watching the advertisement during the interval, you see. It's nothing new, but we all want that. Whether you're Muslim or Buddhist or what, it doesn't really matter. But it is that particular yearning for that consumer lifestyle which taxes the environment. So everything we buy from the shops comes from the earth. Everything comes from the earth, fossil fuels included. So our lifestyles that we have got ourselves into this situation today has in fact induced us to value that and reduce the value of the teachings of our faith.